Detroit ozone ruling resets EPA obligations for 2026. The Sixth Circuit has partially overturned EPA's decision to redesignate the Detroit ozone non-attainment area, ruling that the agency cannot approve attainment status unless all moderate non-attainment controls are fully in place. The court upheld EPA's wildfire-related data adjustments but rejected the redesignation itself, restoring regulatory requirements that will shape how Southeast Michigan advances transportation, industrial, and IIJA-funded infrastructure projects in 2026. A split decision on science and procedure. In Sierra Club v. EPA, the court reviewed a 2023 EPA action that relied on two components: excluding 2 wildfire-influenced ozone days from Detroit's design value calculation and redesignating the area to attainment. Judges agreed with EPA's technical assessment of the June 2022 Canadian wildfire smoke event, finding the agency relied on a clear set of meteorological indicators, satellite data, and chemical signatures that supported a causal link to elevated ozone levels. The outcome shifted, however, when the court examined Detroit's redesignation. Because the region was bumped from marginal to moderate status after missing its attainment deadline, Michigan was required to implement moderately classified ozone controls, most notably RAT for VOC and NOx sources, before EPA could approve attainment. Those obligations were still outstanding in May 2023. The court concluded that EPA cannot disregard statutory requirements based on the timing of a state's request and vacated the redesignation. Infrastructure consequences. With immediate reach. Restoring Detroit's moderate classification has direct implications for infrastructure planning across the region. Several high-value projects, including highway corridor modernization, logistics hub expansions, EV supply chain facilities, and bridge upgrades, depend on conformity analyses tied to ozone status. Remaining in moderate classification shifts the burden back toward stricter review. Transportation conformity. IIJA-funded projects involving added capacity must now demonstrate compliance with SIP budgets that remain constrained without a RACT-backed emissions foundation. This may lengthen modeling timelines or require additional mitigation strategies before approvals move forward. Industrial development. Manufacturing expansions, particularly automotive and battery-related operations, must now undergo more detailed permitting for NO and VOC emissions. RACT requirements will influence technology choices, operational strategies, and deployment schedules. Construction phase emissions. Major projects generate temporary emissions from diesel fleets and detour traffic. Under moderate status, contractors and public agencies will need clearer plans for idle reduction, equipment upgrades, or temporary offsets that prevent exceedances during peak construction seasons. A national signal for ozone governance. The decision also marks another indication that courts, post-Loper-Bright, are reading the Clean Air Act more strictly. EPA's historical flexibility around redesignations, particularly in regions trying to secure quicker permitting environments, may face more challenges. Other states that used early redesignation requests to soften the impact of bump-ups may now need to revisit whether all statutory control measures were in place. What this means as 2026 approaches. Michigan must now develop and submit a complete RAC SIP and demonstrate implementation before EPA revisits Detroit's attainment status. Until then, the regulatory environment across the region will remain more demanding for transportation agencies, industrial operators, and developers planning long-term infrastructure investments. The ruling ultimately reinforces a core principle of air quality governance. Attainment cannot be granted until the necessary controls are fully in effect. As Southeast Michigan prepares for another year of construction, supply chain expansion, and energy transition activity, the court has made clear that infrastructure planning and ozone compliance will remain tightly linked. You've been listening to Sustainability Soundbites by Environment+Energy Leader. For partnership opportunities, please reach out to our team, and don't forget to submit your entry for the 2026 Awards Program. Deadline is 12/31/2025.